Hello and welcome to Tutorial 2 for Victory and Glory Napoleon. On this tutorial we'll be covering armies, navies, and movement. So this is an army. These units that are flag bearers represent armies, which are groups of units. This army has 19 units in it, not counting the generals, which don't count as a unit. So this army has 4, this army has 8, 5, and so on. So we can look at the component units in the army in this dialogue down here. We can see that Napoleon is leading the army, and he has 4 other generals that are his subordinates in this army, as well as infantry units, cavalry units, and artillery units of different types. So the maximum size that an army can be at the start of the game is 20 units, and you can see here that this main army is 19 units. That rule can be violated later in the game and with certain cards, but the basic maximum size for an army is 20 units. Okay, let's talk about movement. Movement for armies is pretty simple. You left click on the army to get control, and then point to a region nearby that you want to move to, and then just left click and the army moves. There are a certain number of activations or moves that can be used every turn. The activations for this turn was 4, and now is 3 after moving this army. It varies between 3 and 6 every turn, and that's determined randomly. So we've moved this army, and as you could see, the cursor actually changes when you hover over a neighboring region and shows and becomes a bugle, which means that it's a legitimate or legal move. Armies can move one region. There are again exceptions based on certain cards that will allow armies to move more than one region. But basically, if you attempt to move to a region that's illegal, say we tried to click over here to Hesse, that would show a red X, and it would just inform the player that that's not a legal move. Also, if you clicked on it, it would give you a dialogue telling you why. The other types of dynamic cursors that appear. So we'll select this army here in northern Italy, and we'll hover over the region that has an Austrian army in it, and the cursor becomes a cannon, showing that if you move to that region that there would likely be a battle. Okay, navies also have a similar iconography for their cursor. They can also move to neighboring sea zones, and instead of a bugle, it's a ship's wheel that shows that that's a legal move. If we try to move too many sea zones at once, it would show a red X. Armies only move one region and then are grayed out, showing that they are done. They cannot move again that turn, again without the special card. Navies actually can move 3 sea zones, but they move 1 at a time. So if I wanted to move this navy, I would move him to the Tyrrhenian Sea, then I can move him again to the Ionian Sea, and then we could move him to the Eastern Med before he was done and is now grayed out, showing that he's done moving. So that's movement for armies and navies. Armies may also move amphibiously. They can move across the water to other regions. They move from a region that has an anchor symbol to another region that has an anchor symbol. So for example, I could attempt to move this army in Brittany and land them in Cornwall. So not only would that cause a battle, when they landed there, but they would also have a chance to be intercepted at every sea zone along the way. So they would move from here into the Bay of Biscay, into the North Atlantic, and then to the English Channel before getting to Cornwall. And in every one of these sea zones that has a British fleet, there would be a chance that this army would be intercepted. And those chances would actually be quite good. So that would be a close to a suicidal movement to Cornwall, and you'd probably lose this entire army. Also, there's a limit to the number of units that can make an amphibious move based on the number of transport factors. So right now, we as the French have 11 naval transport factors available, and that's based on the total number of naval units in our Navy. That's the determining factor. Lastly, we'd like to talk about merging and splitting. So we can, let's say we move this army into Lorraine along with Napoleon's army, and now we have two forces in the same region. That means that they could attempt to merge, but as I mentioned a minute ago, you can only have a 20-sized army maximum. So we would right-click on the unit that we wanted to split, and we would grab left-click on a unit, and then left-click over here, and this splits the force into two distinct armies, one of them having just one infantry unit. We'll accept that, and now you can see we have three armies in here. You can move freely around within the region without costing any movement. And we'll take this one size army and add it to Napoleon's army of 19 to get him up to the top strength. And you can see the cursor has shown a merge icon. And just by left clicking, those two forces combine, and now you have a joined, merged army of 20. And that's the end of the second tutorial video. I'll see you in the next one.